Welcome to the Elon Musk Signal channel. Boeing's Starliner astronaut test flight faced challenges right from the start, but those hurdles couldn't deter this historic mission. Despite previous setbacks with the propulsion system and helium leaks, Starliner successfully docked with the International Space Station (ISS), albeit a little behind schedule, proving that nothing is insurmountable. So, why did these setbacks occur? Did they have significant implications? Join us as we delve into these questions in today's video and explore this exciting journey together. Boeing's CST-100 Starliner spacecraft officially docked with the International Space Station (ISS) on June 6 after its first crewed flight. The Starliner connected to the forward port of the Harmony module on the ISS at 1:34 p.m. Eastern Time, nearly 27 hours after launching from Florida on its crewed flight test mission. On board the Starliner were two experienced NASA astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, who entered the space station about 2 hours after the spacecraft's arrival. As they moved from the Starliner to the International Space Station, they were warmly welcomed with the sound of ship's bells, weightless dances, and warm embraces from the 7-member ISS crew, comprising members from the Russian space agency Roscosmos and NASA. According to NASA, Wilmore and Williams have at least until June 14, possibly longer, to complete their tasks. During this time, they will only have a single day of rest. We're ready to go to work for the international partners here. Whatever it is you got us to do, we're ready, Wilmore declared. Although Starliner successfully docked with the International Space Station, its journey was far from simple. Issues with the spacecraft's propulsion system left NASA and Boeing engineers sweating. The docking was delayed by over an hour from the scheduled time. The space station control centers kept Starliner outside the station's 200-meter keep-out zone, while efforts were made to get the engines running again. The cause of this delay was the sudden shutdown of 5 of Starliner's rear thrusters. This occurred after flight controllers had to address 2 new helium leaks on the spacecraft, in addition to a previously known leak. Furthermore, Starliner's cooling system consumed more water than expected, and another helium leak was detected after the spacecraft docked with the ISS. In a post-docking press conference, representatives from both sides announced that they had successfully reactivated 4 out of the 5 problematic engines, enough to allow Starliner to complete its mission. It's worth noting that this incident bears striking resemblance to an issue encountered during the uncrewed orbital flight test 2 in May 2022. On both occasions, engines in the same position on the service module unexpectedly shut down. NASA's Commercial Crew Program Manager, Steve Stick, shared, "We still don't understand the root cause of the anomaly. The issue appears to be related not to the engines themselves but to the control software and the data the software receives from them." Stick further explained that when the software detects a parameter exceeding allowable limits, such as lower than expected thrust or slower acceleration, it automatically disables that engine. Engineers then individually activated each engine to confirm they were operating normally, subsequently reactivating them during the docking process. Mark Nappy, Boeing's vice president and program manager for Commercial Crew, stated, "The engines performed perfectly, and reactivating them demonstrated that. The problem lies in the conditions set within the software, causing it to automatically cut off the engine control signals." Despite encountering numerous setbacks on the journey to the International Space Station, NASA and Boeing remain optimistic. In fact, Starliner's crew flight test to the ISS, true to its name, was a test flight. This marks the 6th time in NASA's history that astronauts have flown on a brand new spacecraft. For Boeing, finally delivering astronauts to the ISS after the failed uncrewed test flight in 2019, followed by a series of delays and technical issues leading up to this crewed flight, is a significant leap forward. In other words, while these setbacks were undesirable, they are an integral part of the testing process, helping to improve Starliner before human spaceflight becomes routine. Starliner successfully docked with the International Space Station just over an hour behind schedule. This achievement was due to the excellent coordination between astronauts Butch Wilmore, commander, and Sunita Williams, pilot, along with Boeing ground engineers. They managed to reactivate 4 out of the 5 malfunctioning engines. The 5th engine will remain off for the duration of the mission, but this issue, potentially stemming from Starliner's software rather than the engine itself, will not affect the journey back to Earth. However, Starliner still has a few puzzles to solve, such as the cooling system using more water than anticipated. The astronauts have replenished the cooling system with water from the spacecraft's reserves. According to Boeing, future versions of Starliner will be equipped with larger water tanks from the outset. Regarding the helium leaks, Starliner still has enough reserves for the remainder of the mission. But Boeing engineers are still investigating the root cause of these leaks. Earlier, just hours before launch on June 5, NASA and Boeing were also alarmed when the spacecraft control team detected 2 additional helium leaks in Starliner's propulsion system. This leak was entirely separate from the helium leak that led to the mission's cancellation on May 6. As a result, some reaction engines were disabled. Mission managers were forced to make a bold decision, allowing Starliner to proceed with the early morning launch on June 6. The plan was to use the reserve helium to replenish the system pressure and reactivate the engines. However, Mark Nappy, Boeing's vice president, noted, "We will certainly have to reassess that conclusion." NASA's Steve Stick, overseeing the agency's commercial crew program, likened Boeing's Starliner flight to the agency's first space shuttle mission, STS-1, which carried astronauts John Young and Bob Crippen into orbit in 1981. Stick said, "I can say that some of the challenges we are facing are very similar to the space shuttle. The issue of water cooling systems is very similar to the problems NASA faced on shuttle flights throughout that 30-year program." Despite the propulsion issues, NASA and Boeing remain confident that this does not significantly impact crew safety. Emily Nelson, NASA's lead flight director, stated that engineers can visually inspect the engine using the International Space Station's robotic arm-mounted cameras to detect any visible issues. However, since the engine service module will be separated from Starliner before re-entry into Earth, Boeing will not be able to bring it back for detailed analysis. NASA's Steve Stick affirmed that the propulsion malfunction during the docking process is not a major concern. Stick noted that during Boeing's second uncrewed test flight in 2022, which actually made it to the ISS, some engines encountered similar issues but still operated fine after recovery. Despite encountering some setbacks, astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams still had a busy and exciting time during their over-a-week stay on the International Space Station. They will conduct a series of tests, from evaluating Starliner's sleeping comfort to its maximum capacity of accommodating 4 astronauts, to the spacecraft's safety features in case of emergencies at the ISS. Since their stay on the ISS is relatively short, Wilmore and Williams' activity schedule will be much denser than that of resident astronauts. Most of these tests are aimed at preparing for Starliner 1 mission, slated for launch in early 2025. This is the first flight out of at least 6 missions to ferry astronauts under the $4.2 billion contract between Boeing and NASA under the Commercial Crew Program. Boeing is one of 2 companies NASA has contracted with for multi-billion-dollar missions to ferry astronauts to and from the ISS. The other company is SpaceX, which has successfully completed 8 missions for NASA on the Crew Dragon spacecraft. How do you feel about this roller coaster journey? Please comment below. Thank you for watching the entire video. Don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with interesting information. Goodbye and see you in the next video.